Hey there, this is Sergio with the RideShare Guy. Welcome to a really special episode of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by Danny from UK. Now you guys are going to say, well, why are we watching a guy from the UK? That's because they have different rules, different regulations. Pretty much everything is different other than upfront fares where they get to see the destination. So Danny, welcome.
Thanks, Sergio. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, for the past 7 years, I've been a private hire driver. For the past 8 months, I've been using Uber rideshare app because it's become quite popular in my hometown of Liverpool.
So how far are you from London, let's say?
I'm about a 5.5 hour commute.
Okay. How big of a city is it that you're in?
It's probably about the fifth biggest city in England.
Okay.
So you've got
Um,
like London, Birmingham, Manchester, Newcastle, and us kind of thing. So yeah, we're
okay.
we're, we're pretty well known,
Okay.
especially because of our accent.
The accent, we have a lot of accents in the US too, right? So I speak to thousands of drivers and they all have a different accent. Um, so what I wanted to find out actually, or educate actually our audience is how things are across the pond. I mean, we do have an audience in the UK, obviously. We have an audience in Australia. I just got an email from New Zealand, actually. So I'm saying we're
Wow.
all over the place now, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but tell us a little bit about you personally. Like, obviously you said you did the private driver or delivery driver for 7 years. Are
Yeah.
you still doing that, or are you just full-time Uber?
But at the moment, I'm still a full-time private hire driver. I mainly use Uber now, and there's a local firm close by that I use them as well because some of the aging generation don't use Uber.
Yeah.
So some of them are through just phoning up and getting a taxi sent to them, a mini
Yeah.
cab sent to them.
What did you do before being a livery driver or Uber
I
driver?
was I was a store detective.
Oh,
Do you know what a store detective is?
yeah, like the security, let's say.
Basically, I was an undercover security guard, and because of me background in IT, when money had go missing from a firm, I would be sent in to try and track it down.
Okay.
Um, it would always be one of three things. It would either be a member of staff half-inching it, it would be the public, a regular trip from a group or gang taking it, or a genuine clerical error. And I'd just have to find out which one it was.
Yeah. Interesting. So you said you've been a driver for 7 years and doing Uber for about 8 months. Um, what do you, I mean, obviously a lot, millions and billions, 6.5 million people around the globe are doing Uber, in many different countries, many different states and cities. What made you go the Uber way? Why not continue the same way as you were before?
Okay, so what I found is the waiting time in between rides would increase with the local firm. One particular Saturday night, I was on the side of the road and I was waiting a good 55 minutes before the next ping come through. So I ended up installing a game on my phone to give me something to do in
Yeah.
between. And when I realized I was level 586, I decided that I need to try and find something
Okay.
else to do. So I messaged a friend of mine and said, I just can't cut it anymore. As a private driver, it's killing me doing all these times, all these. And he says to me, sends over your earnings from your local firm and the hours you've done. So I did. I sent them over to him on WhatsApp. And he just come back with a load of laughing emojis and said, try Uber. So 2 days later, I tried Uber. Wish I'd tried it way beforehand.
Yeah.
The pings in Liverpool are just constant. Liverpool's quite a big university-driven city. I think we've got four of them in total.
Yeah.
We've welcomed 35,000 students into Liverpool just for this term alone. How many of them are going to look up the local firm or use the app on the phone?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you did the right thing, obviously, but as far as you said, your friend sent you the emojis, right?
Yeah.
and you join. Tell me a little bit of, because we know how it works in the US, right? So you upload documents, you go through a background check, well, kind of a background check, and then a lot of people fall through the cracks there. And, and then you're on literally like 24 to 48 hours, you're making some money. I'm not saying you're profitable, but you're making something. Okay. How is the process different, if any, in the UK when it comes to onboarding as a driver?
I obviously can't say how it works there. I'll just say how I had to do it.
Okay.
So first of all, you need a local council license. That local council license does DRB checks, security checks, and all that first before they even entertain you. And then you'd have to do an MVQ course, which is basically a basic English
Hmm.
maths type course, and a question. You'd have 9 exams at the end of it. Well, I did in my experience. I had 9 exams at the end of it, which were multiple choice. Once you'd corrected all that, once you got all that correct, you then had to apply for the license. The local council would do all the security checks on you and then give you your personal badge with your photograph on, followed by documentation to say you've been, I think you guys would call it certified, to
Yeah.
be able to then to be able to then drive. With
Okay.
that information, you then either have to hire a car, which local firms hire a car, including your insurance, or your own car. Now, in my case, I have my own car. So I had to take it to a test centre that was authorised by the council that my badge was authorised from. They had to match. I couldn't go to a different place. So
Wow.
I had to go to one of them certified councils with my car. They do a test, MOT slash taxi test to make sure everything's ship shape. With all them documents, you then go back to your council, you pay various different fees, and then they issue you a license for your car, which you then need to display underneath your license plate, and the sticky for the front of your car, which has got your reference of which council you're authorized with it, and the number of your car. So at any point, someone could grab that information and they could simply, if they needed to make a complaint or anything like that, the local council would be able to identify me.
Okay. So there is a quite a bit of a process before you even get to the Uber level, right? I
Oh,
mean, the
that can
government's involved.
easily take 9 months, 9 to 12
9 months?
months. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
With most of the Liverpool councils, it takes a long time. There's three major ones. You've got Knowsley, Liverpool itself, and Sefton.
Right.
And it can take a while with them.
I mean, what the difference is immense, right? Here, it'll be 9 hours, basically, from the time you upload your documents to driving. And I mean, I'm actually thrilled to hear this because I think, everybody in the US is pretty much driving for Uber now, right? If they need a couple $100, they just upload a few documents, right, wrong, sideways, nobody checks. There is no city council, there is no government involvement. I think it's a lot safer for the drivers. It's also safer for the consumer, right? When you
It's
go
actually
through,
funny you should say that. I've often had American tourists in my car.
yeah,
Obviously, we're being a big city and we've got a lot going on here. And these American tourists have stated to me how safe it is after they've researched Uber here compared to yourselves. And they said they prefer the likes of Lyft because there's more checks there.
no,
That's what a rider said. But they would prefer to use Lyft over Uber in America because they claimed it was safer. I obviously only have the.
nah, not true,
No,
not true,
is that
not
not
true at
true?
all. It's the American marketing that they do. Like, the people hear something and then they go, oh, Lyft must be better. I'm like, no, they're exactly the same.
Right.
But so once you did the onboarding, right, that took you a while. So
So yeah,
when do you get
eventually.
onto Uber? Like, how do you transfer all that information to Uber?
So what then happens is we have obviously that I then was straight on with all them documents to a local firm, but I'll describe the Uber experience for you because I know that's what you're interested in more. So what I did then is I called up after I got them laughing emojis from my friend. I then I then went onto the Uber site and registered to become a driver. They give you an appointment to go in and see them in the green light hub. You can't
Yeah.
just boom straight away upload your documents.
Wow.
So You go to the green light hub, they actually go through all your documents with you, and then they take a photograph of you to put on your Uber app. We can't edit that picture. We can't come home and resubmit a different picture on our profile.
Wow.
It
Okay.
has to be done by people in who are authorized to do that with Uber. We have no change facility on our app for the picture.
Wow. So this is very interesting to me, right? I mean, obviously things are being done completely differently in the UK than they're being done in the US.
It definitely sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it seems like they're taking this business a lot more seriously. Do you think that's because the government is involved from the first day? They didn't allow Uber to run all over regulations and rules and things like that?
Oh, well, definitely. It's more the local councils involved as well, because although we have the overall government, the local councils are the ones that issue the operators to allow them to be used in their city. So each of the cities, each of the major cities, Uber has to apply for a license in every city. And then it's up to that council to say, yes, Uber, you can operate in my city. Or that local council will go, we don't want you here,
Okay.
and then not allow them.
Okay. I mean, because the onboarding process is so tedious, right? It takes a while.
It does.
Obviously, do you get also drug tested, fingerprint tested and things that are checked, things like that?
It hasn't gone as far as fingerprint checked yet, but there is talk of that. And
Okay.
also we have local authorities that are out at any time. They can stop a vehicle over that's licensed to the local authority, and they can do a full check inside out the car and make sure that it's up to standard and the driver doesn't look like he's, what's the word?
Yeah.
Trying to use a diplomatic word here, Sergio.
No,
Help me out.
I fully understand because we have a huge problem in the US now. People,
Intoxicated. That
yeah,
was the word I was
yeah.
after.
No, there is a huge problem in the US. A lot of fake accounts being floated around, a lot of people driving under other people's accounts. That's unsafe at best, right? I mean, these people have not been checked, but that's a different story. So,
Yeah,
so you did your paperwork, you went to the Green Light Hub, you took your picture, now you're on the Uber platform, right?
I am.
And you've been on it for 8 months, you said.
I am.
How are things? Tell us, because in the US, we have a massive, massive oversaturation of driver community, and in pretty much every city except maybe a few, driver earnings are down. So you started 8 months ago, and you have upfront fares like we do, right? You see the destination of the passenger and the fare that shows up.
Yes.
But you send me screenshots. I think you're doing well. What do you think? I mean, do you think you're doing well?
So personally, I've a big thing that's going on here in the UK, in England in particular, is people are bothered about, oh, you're only getting paid so much per mile. Now, when I started with Uber, I started saying, how much do I earn per hour,
Yeah,
not per mile? So that's the mentality I've done. Now, there's a motorway not far from me that goes from Heighton Village up to Kirby, and it's about 9 miles, but it's empty all the time. It takes you 10 minutes. So Uber will ping you a job to do that. You're not really getting paid by the 9 miles.
yeah,
You're more getting paid by, this is only going to take you 15 minutes, Denny. Do you want to
yeah,
do it? And I'm like, yeah, go on, kind of thing. So yeah, so I've done it more by the hour, and I found that I'm more profitable with Uber because I say it here to the kids all the time. If my wheels ain't turning, I ain't earning.
yeah,
So if I'm sitting on the side of the road waiting for that job that's paying me more, while Uber's giving out hundreds of pings per minute or
yeah.
whatever they do, then I'm gonna obviously go where the money is.
Right. Other than Uber, do you know if there is any other rideshare companies in the UK or your
I
city?
think Bolt is making
Both?
an appearance in London.
Yeah,
Lyft hasn't yet. I have
yeah,
looked into Lyft a bit, and they're concentrating on the US before
yeah,
they venture anywhere else.
yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
but
So you have upfront fares, you see the destination of the passenger before you accept the trip, right?
yep,
Let's talk a little bit the similarities, if there are any. Do you have a rate card, meaning like uh, dollars per mile, dollars per minute, or is it just like ours? There's an algorithm that just decides this is the job, this is what it costs, take it or leave it.
pretty much that one. So what I've noticed though is they call it oh, I forget dynamic pricing
Yeah,
system,
yeah,
right? So I've noticed I took a job the other day from the match when Liverpool and City were playing.
yeah,
I took a job and the upfront fare was £21. Um, that's about $26,
yeah,
$27. Right. So I took the upfront fare and I decided to take them to the airport, Liverpool Airport. And it took a long time because of the
yeah,
traffic leaving the match. So Uber's pricing system, I got it wrong, the upfront
yeah.
fare. As soon as I dropped the customer offer, it adjusted it and added another £7.
Wow,
So so within that 45 minutes, it had added the £7 because it took longer than it should have.
that's
And
interesting.
I didn't even have to approach Uber to say, hey, check this out. It's took me longer. Can you not do a rematch and reprice? Their system here automatically does it if it takes longer than they expect. Of course, the other way works as well. If
Yeah,
it's shorter, then sometimes they could shave a bit off the
yeah.
upfront fare.
Which is, I think, which is quite fair. But what I'm seeing here in the US a lot more is that they are shaving when it's shorter, but they're not adding when it's longer. We're
Oh,
working on
we
it, but
definitely get it added. If I go through my logs, I can send you some screenshots. You'll see price adjust increased. I see it quite often because sometimes it's quite busy.
okay.
So I do see that quite often.
But are you allowed? Okay, let's say you take a trip from Liverpool and you said you're 5.5 hours away from London. Um, have you done trips like that? Like, are you allowed to drive in other
Yes,
cities?
yes. So because the way the situation is here is um, if the operator has a license in that city,
Okay,
then that operator's drivers can drive in any of them cities.
I got it.
So, for example, I haven't got a Manchester license, but Uber's got a Manchester license. So if I drive into Uber, which is only 33 miles away, sorry, if I drive into Manchester, which is only 33 miles away, jobs will pop up in Manchester for me to
Okay,
continue driving there. But I would generally use that take me home feature, the
yeah.
take
Destination
me there
filter.
destination filter. I would use that and get myself back home. But that's worked really well for me in the past. So once I was in Manchester, I set it back to Liverpool, and within 3 jobs, it got me back
That's
without being
awesome.
empty.
That's
So
interesting.
I was
That's
pleased
very
with that.
interesting. So we talked about your onboarding, we talked about your driving. Um, uh, are you I mean, I know, but for our audience, we have a major discussion going on in the United States that are we independent contractors or are we employees of these companies, right?
Right?
I mean, in the US, they want us to be independent contractors, but European regulators and politicians are a lot tougher on these companies than the US ones. Okay. Here, they can play whatever they want, do whatever they want. Are you considered an employee? And even if you're not considered an employee, what do you have any benefits that come with the job in the UK?
Okay, so here in the UK, we have 3 classifications of workers. We have employee, we have a worker, and we have self-employed.
Okay.
So they're the 3. You guys only have the 2, I believe.
Yeah.
But we have 3 here. So what happened in 2016 was a group of drivers formed a union and they took Uber to court because they believed they should have worker rights.
Okay.
Now, the reason they believe they should have worker rights is because of the definition of them 3 different categories we have here.
Okay.
Now, we don't have any direct dealings with the customer. We don't set the price with the rider, and we don't even know how much the rider pays.
Yeah.
So, because of things like that, they were unable to class us as self-employed
Okay.
when working with Uber. So, they classed us as a worker.
Okay.
But for tax purposes, we are all still self-employed.
Self-employed. Okay.
But because this group of people, I mean, this was before, don't forget, this was before I was Uber.
Yeah.
This group of people fought that case. It went right the way up. Uber was appealing it, saying no, it's not happening. Uh, And then the decision was made by the Employment Appeal Tribunal in
Okay.
2017. Then Uber decided to take it to the Court of Appeal in 2018.
Yeah.
And then in the end, in the 19th of February, 2021, the Supreme Court, which is our highest court here in England, basically backed the drivers and said, nah, these are workers, give them the
Okay.
rights. So them rights, although we're still self-employed for tax purposes, the rights who Uber has to give us now are
Okay.
things like guarantee us minimum wage. They need to guarantee us minimum wage.
Okay.
We are protected against from unfair deductions in wage.
Okay.
There's a statutory holiday pay. So we're entitled to holiday pay. So, what are you laughing at?
I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm just gonna go like, okay. I'm laughing because these are the things that drivers in the US want. Okay. This is going to be a popular episode, by the way. Okay. Because these are all the things that the US drivers want, like in Minneapolis now, right? They want paid time off, sick leave. You know, like we don't have any of this.
I hadn't got to the sick leave.
Just drive for $3. That's what we do.
I hadn't got to the sick leave bit.
oh, there's more. Okay, go ahead.
So let me explain how the holidays work. So originally they were giving us 12.5 or something like that % extra every Tuesday. That was how it was originally. So our earnings we'd done for that week, they'd dunk another 12% in every Tuesday.
When it's a holiday?
No, just every Tuesday. Every Tuesday.
It's a holiday. Every week is a holiday.
52 weeks of the year, they dump 12% into our wallet.
Okay.
Right? But the 12% is from the earnings of that week. So if I own, let's do easy maths here, Sergio. If I only earn £10, they'd only put 12% of that £10 in on the Tuesday.
Wow. Okay.
£1.20.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but of course, if I did £1,000, they would put 12% of that in on the Tuesday. But I think they've got a bit onto this, so they've decided to be a bit clever, Uber. And this is the part I don't like about Uber. Am I okay to speak freely? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what they've done is they're no longer dumping it into our wallet every Tuesday. They're now adding it onto the trips.
Oh, so that's when the shaving comes into play.
I mean, I can't concretely say yes to that, but I have my suspicions.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So what now happens is when we see an upfront fare, it tells us plus estimated holiday pay of 30p or plus estimated holiday pay of 20p. And our breakdown wallet actually states your holiday pay for this week was X amount. But now we feel that some of these trips that we used to do are very similar prices to what we used to get, but now have holiday on it.
It includes the holiday pay now.
It includes the holiday pay in the trip.
Wow, shady as usual.
So to me, that's a bit red flag.
Yeah, you guys got to watch that because we caught them doing that on pretty much everything.
I've seen them episodes.
I mean, you watch us, you know, right? They do. Look, man. If you let them get away with it, they'll get away with it. That's all there is to it. So you have that. What else you got?
Then mandatory breaks.
Okay.
So the way that works is we can only drive here in the UK for 10 hours. After that 10 hours, we're shut off the system for a 6-hour break.
Okay.
Right? Now but is again what they've done is that 10 hours is active driving with the customer.
With a button, with period 2, period 3, right? Okay.
I don't know what that meant, but yeah.
Well, no, period 2 is like on your way to the passenger, and then period 3 is with a butt in the back seat. So
so it only counts with a butt in the back seat. Yeah, so your average shift can still be 12 to 13 hours.
So what do
before
you
you've
do? I mean,
hit.
do you drive? Is there anything else that I want to I want to hear about this? More benefits?
Yeah, so we've got protection against unlawful discrimination.
Okay, that's deactivation stuff. Okay,
Yeah, we've got protection against whistleblowing. So if we
okay.
contact our unions or whatever about Uber, then we won't. Oh, we also have statutory sick pay. So if we're sick for a long period of time, we get a doctor's note, we send it to Uber, they'll give us a percentage of our regular income that we would have earned.
Beethoven. Okay. Yeah,
Would have
these are
earned.
wonderful things. Look, these are all the things US drivers would love to have,
So
which,
do you want to hear the best one, Serge?
yeah,
Pension. So what we have here is because we got the workers' rights, we get a pension scheme. And don't is it called a pension in America?
yeah,
Basically
yeah.
a retirement
Retirement,
fund.
retirement,
A
yeah.
retirement fund. So how this works is, say for example, in a week I earn £100. On a Friday, 3% of that £100 will be paid into a fund by Uber that we can access when we're 65. And 5% will automatically come from our wallet and be paid into it. So in total, 8% once a week of our earnings get paid into a retirement fund. Five from the driver,
Automatically.
automatically.
That's awesome, man.
Five from the driver, three from Uber.
Wow. See,
So if
that's
you earn a
awesome because you know
thousand
what?
pound
You know what,
in
Denny?
1 week,
Nobody saves in the US, nobody saves any money for retirement when they do rideshare. They're broke at the end. You know what I mean? This way you have something, you
you
know?
have something, yeah. Now
Yeah.
this is optional. You can opt out of it. Don't know
No.
why someone would want to do that, but you can opt out of it if you want to.
Yeah.
And I
Nobody
think I
should.
mentioned to you this in the past that on a Friday, sometimes our wallet can actually be negative.
Yeah,
We
you
start
start
on
because they hit
negative
that. Yeah. Yeah.
because it's
But
took the 5% out.
I think it's a great idea though. Okay, so we have few minutes remaining. I mean, I could talk to you all day, but we may have to do like a part two of this. So you're doing it. Okay, give me two things you like about Uber driving. Give me two things you don't like about Uber driving.
Um, the constant pings, that's
Okay.
great. The money per hour and how easily accessible it is, that's great. So they're the two things I like. The two things I don't like is the shadiness. There seems to be shadiness happening. There seems to be um, deductions or things you're going to have to sit down and work out to make sure they're paying you correctly.
Yeah.
Cloak and daggery
Yeah.
is probably the best word to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the fact that it's too many AI when you speak to them.
Yeah.
It's all AI. You're
Support.
speaking to a robot when you're messaging the help, or
Yeah.
you're speaking to someone who's copying and pasting from
Yeah.
pre-script.
Yeah.
So they're the two things I don't like.
Okay. So you've been at it for 8 months. Tell me a little bit about your future plans. I mean, are you going to keep doing it? It seems like you like doing it. You're making money with it. I mean,
I am enjoying it. I mean, I don't, am I allowed to mention what I've told you about previously
you're
with the
allowed to say anything you want.
yeah, I don't want to do a shameless plug, but I will.
No, no, no. I was
So
going to do that for you anyway, but you go ahead. So,
okay, so I have recently set up a YouTube channel to show people what it's like this side and to help people this side. It's not just a log of me doing things. I've put a recent video up of how people can earn out how much it costs them per hour to be a rideshare driver. So a lot of people don't realize the difference between gross and net profit. And
yeah,
they see this big, massive amount and they're like, oh, look at my gross. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, but that's not what you're earning, is it, mate?
yeah,
That's not
yeah.
what you're
You
going
didn't
home
make,
with.
you know what we say that all the time. You didn't, a lot of people go, I made $1,000. I'm like, you didn't make anything. You
You
grossed
didn't.
$1,000, right? Yeah,
Yes, yes. So you're on it, Serge.
yeah,
But a lot of people here in the UK are bragging how much they make. And then you go, so what was your net?
yeah,
What did you walk home with?
yeah,
I only had to pay me fuel. What? No, you
yeah,
never. Well, what
yeah.
about your insurance? What about and all this stuff?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I set up this little how to do spreadsheet, and it basically figures out how much you have to earn per hour to keep yourself above minimum wage after your
Okay.
expenses,
Yeah.
things
What
like
is
that.
minimum wage in the in your city or in UK, by the way?
From April, I think they're making it £14. Let me just check.
Well, approximately is
Yeah, I think
basically,
it's about £14. I think it's
yeah, it's
about
about,
£14
so it's
a
about
week.
18 US, which is the same as Los Angeles, actually. So,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
so we have a few minutes remaining. I mean, look, man, you're awesome. I mean, what is the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just very simple. Driver Denny. It
Driver
is
Denny.
new. It is
Yeah.
new. I've only got about 55 subscribers, but there's about 10 videos up there. People
Well,
can see what it's like working here.
I watched a few of them. Go, please check it out.
Actually,
Subscribe.
Sergio, I've stuck you in my new intro. You're in my new intro.
I'm honored.
I designed the new intro. I've stuck you and Chris in one of the little squares in the corner of it.
I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm honored. So, we got a couple of minutes to go. Here's Denny from UK. I mean, look, he told us the way it is, just like we do, good, bad, ugly. They have some rights that we would love to have as drivers, some security, some money towards retirement. I mean, these are all wonderful things, right? And these will not happen without government involvement. And a lot of people in the US, Danny, don't like the government. And I'm not a huge fan of the government either, don't get me wrong. But things are so horrible at the moment in the US when it comes to earnings that I think we need a little bit of a help, right? And but I'll give you the floor. Give our audience some advice. Any advice. Doesn't have to be rideshare advice. Life advice, whatever it is. You have a couple of minutes.
Advice. You put
Yeah.
me on the spot a bit here, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like doing that. You
Yeah,
can
thanks for
handle
that.
it.
So don't give up. Boom. Drop
Yeah.
mic. Don't give up.
No,
It's as simple
I
as
get you,
that.
man.
Keep them wheels turning. Keep on earning. Um,
I like that. Keep the wheels turning, keep on earning. I think we will end on that one. And I appreciate you doing it. I know we have like a 8, 9 hour time
it's
difference.
fine. It's fine.
And I wish you nothing but success. Obviously, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
Go check his YouTube channel, Driver Denny.
Yeah.
And I wish you health and I wish you safety. I mean, that's all I can say. And yep, keep the wheels turning and keep on earning. There
Keep
you
on
go.
earning.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Danny.
much,
Much
Sergio.
appreciated, man.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the RideShare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.